I've been asking for something really innovative in Airsoft for years. While there's been some things that have upgraded Airsoft performance and brought in the game forward, there really hasn't been anything innovative that pushes the game to a level that we've never seen before. And I'm hoping that this new system from G&G will do exactly that. So let's take a look at it in today's video. But first, I just want to say thank you all so much for 20,000 subscribers. I honestly can't believe it. I can't describe what this community means to me. I'm happy to be here making videos for all of you. So let's dive into the new G&G G3 system and see what I like and what I'm a little skeptical about in this system. So on the outside, it does look like your typical M-Lock, semi-futuristic M4. We don't care about that. What I'm interested in is on the inside, which is where I think we're going to see some true changes compared to the V2 Gearbox design, which has been out for decades now. And let's be honest, there's a lot of quirks and a lot of weird things about the V2 system that companies have tried to get around and try to improve. G&G is just throwing that to the wayside and doing a completely new system. So right off the bat, one of the biggest changes you're going to see, this is a split gearbox design. And I think that this could be a good idea if it's done right. There are other companies out there that make split gearboxes. ICS comes to mind. However, I've never really been a fan of ICS Airsoft products. I think that they're just okay, but they're not great. So I'm a little skeptical with this coming from G&G, but I have high hopes. The main advantage of a split gearbox is, number one, it's going to be a more realistic takedown. It's not going to be like a standard Airsoft M4 where it has to separate like this. It's actually going to hinge open like a real rifle. The other thing that I'm really excited about is this means that you can work on the gearbox without having to entirely take it apart. Nothing is worse than working on a gearbox and having all of that work that you did shimming, getting everything set up, just to have, everything fall apart when you're trying to put it together under spring pressure, and then like your guide rod just like flies across the room and you'll never be able to find those parts again. So having the split gearbox, I think is fantastic because it's going to make teching easier, and it's also going to make removing the gearbox easier entirely if you ever need to switch out any parts. This probably means that you won't be able to HPA this airsoft gun, but honestly, that's not the point of buying it. There is something that we'll talk about in just a moment that I'm a little concerned about with the easeability of taking out these, but I want to talk about some more of the highlights before we get into the things that I'm a little skeptical about. The second thing that I really think is neat and something that's pushing Airsoft forward is it has more realistic controls. Now, most of the time when people want a realistic Airsoft gun, they have to go to gas guns, but those really have some disadvantages. They're not as good, they're more finicky, they tend to break because there's more moving parts. However, with this rifle, you're going to have a lot of the same features that you would have on a real AR-15 style rifle. Primarily, you're going to have a functioning bolt catch, so when you insert a new magazine, you're going to have to hit that to send the bolt forward. You're also going to have to cock the rifle using the charging handle. This isn't something that you see in a lot of Airsoft guns, again, except for gas blowback where you need to because of the mechanism. And then my favorite thing, this has empty mag detection. But their G&G is doing something different than most companies do, where their empty mag detection doesn't require their own specific magazines. I think this is a huge step forward because if you look at the systems that require their own magazines, there's always two problems. Either they're incredibly expensive, upwards of $30 for a mid-cap, or two, they suck. Another thing that I think is going to be really cool about this gearbox is the amount that you are able to tune it, which I think is really the market that G&G is going for. I feel like they're going more for speed softers and people who are looking for performance while still having some of these realistic features in there. G&G will have an app that comes with this, and that'll allow you to change things like pre-cocking, if you want to have a burst mode on there, whatever it may be. There's going to be a lot of programmability, which I think is a good idea, and I think that having a Bluetooth app like this is a great option. Wolverine did this with one of their old HPA engines. I can't remember exactly which one it was. I think it was the Inferno or the Spartan. I could be wrong about that. But I think it's a neat idea, and I think that having some of that adjustability, again, without having to remove the gearbox, is a fantastic idea, and I really have to applaud G&G for it. If everything goes well. The system is not out yet. They are saying it's going to come out sometime this year, so hopefully for the holiday season. But there's a couple of things that I am a little bit skeptical about that I want to mention as well, to be completely fair. First and foremost, it has a quick disconnect MOSFET, which is not a piece of the Airsoft gun that I would really want to be QD. And part of me wants to say, oh, it's quick detach to make to getting the entire gearbox out, to get any electronics out when you're trying to tech the gun. That's a good thing. The cynical side of me is saying it's quick detach because it's easy to break. You wouldn't need to remove that part unless it breaks, so hopefully the design, having it be removed very easily, it looks like it only takes a single screw, is just so that you can get the gearbox out. And it seems like a weird marketing point to me, but let me know what you guys think. Hopefully these aren't going to shatter immediately. The other thing is, because this is an entirely new system, there's probably not going to be upgrade parts, at least not at the beginning. So hopefully G&G has those available for anything that breaks. You can make the best airsoft gun in the world, and there's still going to be problems down there. You know, Crytacs break, VFCs break, HPA guns break, so hopefully there's some part support. And the number one thing, the biggest complaint that I see about this system, the hop-up is no longer adjusted through the ejection port, which is a pretty standard thing on airsoft guns. And I really like it because I can mess with my hop-up. You know, I can be holding my rifle, take my hand off the trigger, and adjust the hop-up as needed. However, on this system, it's adjusted like you'd adjust your gas block. So you're not going to be able to aim down your sights while you're adjusting your hop-up. It's going to take a fillet head screwdriver. And G&G says that this is to make it so that the hop-up has more adjustability. There is 36 positions, so you can really fine-tune your hop-up. However, I see this to be a huge pain when you're on the airsoft field, because I don't know about all of you, but I've had times where I just need to adjust my hop-up a little bit higher to reach out to somebody a little bit farther away, and then move it down, and then having it somewhere that I can't easily access while holding the rifle, and needing a tool to do so. I think this is going to be a huge pain. This is one of the biggest flaws I see in the design. In the video, they do show a rendering where the ejection port is open and there's just nothing there to adjust your hop-up. They do have a different way that the hop-up sits in there, so it's a little bit more secure with the gearbox, which I think is a good idea. It avoids a lot of the issues that you have with standard AEGs. But this adjustment method, I think, is just a really bad idea. I would have preferred like a TDC or something like that, but I guess we'll see what happens. I understand that some other airsoft guns have this design, especially in the world of gas blowbacks. The VFC Scar series comes to mind, the KWA MP7, but I have a GHK AK, which has standard AEG hop-up, or AEG barrels, so it adjusts like a AEG hop-up, and I honestly think that's the way to go. But that is one of the biggest things that I'm concerned about with this rifle. I think it's just going to be a pain in the butt to use. But overall, I am optimistic about this. I think that airsoft needs something new. G&G has kind of been pushing the envelope. This isn't their first kind of new foray into airsoft. While they make a lot of stuff with standard AEG parts and standard V2 gearboxes, they did have the G2 rifles that came out for a little bit that weren't super popular. They were mainly like an upgraded V2 gearbox, but I think that going to their own original design could be a fantastic thing for them. I hope this works out. I hope that it's commercially successful, even if I don't enjoy it, because I want to see other companies make new products. Again, the V2 gearbox has been around for what, 15, 20 years now? It's cumbersome. It's difficult to work on. In systems like these where it's easier to tech, it has some advantages over the old system. I say it's worth a shot. So again, they're hoping this product will come out this year. If I can get my hands on one, I would love to. Honestly, I think that there are still some limitations in airsoft that we're just never going to be able to get over certain hurdles. But if this can get us closer to it, I'd love to see it. But what do you guys think of the G&G G3 system? Personally, I hope they make it for more than just M4s. I'd love to see it in some other systems like AKs, MP5s, whatever it may be. But what do you think about this? Do you think that airsoft should stick with the V2 system, the traditional gearboxes that we have? Make sure to let me know down in the comments below. And if this is your first time here, I would love it if you joined our community, not only by subscribing, but checking out the BB Warrior Discord server. There's a link to that in the description and in the pinned comment of today's video. But my name is Lane, and I'll see you all next time.